Data Overview by Jeanette LeCroy. My name is Jeanette LeCroy and I'm a first grade teacher at Clark Creek Elementary STEM Academy in Cherokee County School District. This presentation is taking place in July of 2020 and will provide information to the Clark Creek administration and leadership team for data review, discussion, school improvement plan reflection, and decision making. The purpose of this presentation is to review the demographic and enrollment changes over the course of the last 3 years at Clark Creek Elementary STEM Academy, to review the English Language Arts Georgia Milestones assessment data over the last 3 years, to visit the school improvement plan that has an English Language Arts and writing focus, and to look at the rigorous curriculum design, or the RCD, that's an ELA program created by Cherokee County teachers that was implemented in the 2017-2018 school year. This presentation will review its effectiveness based on the Georgia Milestones Assessment. Overview of school. With this graph, you'll see the fall enrollment at Clark Creek over the last 3 school years. In the 2016-2017 school year, there were 1,076 students enrolled. In the 2017-2018 school year, there were 1,164 students enrolled. And in the 2018-2019 school year, there were 1,208 students enrolled. On this graph, you can see a closer look at the fall enrollment that we just previewed in the last slide. On this graph, you'll see the fall enrollment by grade level, and you can follow different grade levels throughout the last 3 years. So if you were to look at the kindergarten grade level in the 2016-2017 school year, you can see how their enrollment changed when they went to first grade in the next school year and second grade in the next school year. So you can see a little bit further into how their class has changed over the last 3 years. With these graphs, you get a different view of student enrollment. The student enrollment by gender from the 2016-2017 school year to the 2018-2019 school year has remained the same. There's 47% female students and 53% male students. For the student enrollment by race and ethnicity in the 2018-2019 school year, you'll find that the majority of the student population is white at 51%, and you'll find that the next largest population is Hispanic at 22%. Following that would be Black students at 16%, and then Native American or Alaskan Natives are 0%, while multiracial and Asian students are 6% of the student population. In this graph, you'll see the student population at Clark Creek with limited English proficiency. As you can see, from the 2016-2017 school year, the enrollment of students with limited English proficiency has decreased. We had an increase in the 2017-2018 school year, but we are now currently at 14% students with limited English proficiency. On this graph, you'll find the percentage of student enrollment at Clark Creek by programs. I've broken it apart by students with disabilities, gifted students, ESOL students, and EIP students over the last 3 school years. With this representation, you'll see the socioeconomic status, or the students that are economically disadvantaged in comparison to students who are not. With this graph, you find those who qualify for socioeconomic status and those who do not qualify. On average, about 46% of Clark Creek's population qualifies for free and reduced meals. On this graph, you'll find the percent of absences by year at Clark Creek. I have listed out 5 or fewer days absent by percent, 6 to 15 days absent by percent, and more than 15 days absent by percent for over the last 3 school years. In looking at student absences a little bit closer, I made this graph of percent of absences by subgroups for the 2018-2019 school year. Broken apart, we have students with and without disabilities, students that are economically disadvantaged and not disadvantaged, male, female, and limited English proficiency. Here you'll see the total discipline incidents at Clark Creek Elementary from the 2016-17 school year to the 2018-19 school year. Looking more closely, you have the percentage of discipline incidences resulting in in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension at Clark Creek from 2016 to 2019. The heart of Red Hawk Nation at Clark Creek are definitely the teachers. I've broken apart the teachers by race and ethnicity for the 2018-2019 school year. You have 74% white, 6% black, and 2% Hispanic. The total numbers of teachers are 82. The average years taught are 11, and there are 96% female and 4% male, and this does not include support staff. Student achievement data. With this information, you'll find the total student performance in English Language Arts on the Georgia Milestones Assessment from 2016 to 2019 at Clark Creek. The total number of students tested in 2018-19 was 571, 2017-18, 607, and 2016-17 was 561. There is a steady increase of distinguished Level 4 student scores over the last 3 years. There was a 5.4% increase from 2016-17 to the 2018-19 school year. Beginning Level 1 student scores had a decrease from the 2016-17 to the 2017-18 school year as RCD was rolled out and implementation began. However, in the 2018-19 school year, Level 1 scores decreased 2.6%. These graphs show the comparison of the ELA Georgia Milestone scores for the school, district, and state for the 2016-17 and the 2017-18 school year. The number of students tested at Clark Creek for 2016-17 was 561, and 2017-18 was 607. In Cherokee County in 2016-17, students were 19,386, and the 17-18 school year was 19,572. In Georgia, the 2016-17 school year, 790,738 students were tested, and the 17-18 school year, 796,093 students were assessed. Continuing with that same comparison, you have the scores for the 2018-2019 school year. For that year, Clark Creek tested 571 students, the county tested 19,342 students, and the state tested 790,836 students. Clark Creek students outscore students at the state level consistently. Additionally, Cherokee County School District outperformed the state over the last 3 years. On these graphs, you'll find the comparison of the ELA Georgia's Milestones Assessment scores by gender for the school, district, and state for the 2018-2019 school year. Clark Creek tested 309 male students and 262 female students. Cherokee County tested 9,968 male students and 9,374 female students. Georgia tested 403,891 male students and 386,945 female students. Males at Clark Creek are underperforming in comparison to their female peers at the state and district level, while female and males are outperforming peers at the district and state level. Here you'll find the total student performance in English Language Arts on the Georgia Milestone Assessment by gender at Clark Creek for the 2018-2019 school year. There were 309 male students tested and 262 female students tested. 2018-19 school year shows the highest improvement for male students. On this graph, you'll see the student performance in English Language Arts on the Georgia Milestones Assessment by subgroup at Clark Creek from the 2016-17 school year to the 2018-19 school year. With this data, you can see that Hispanic students, although they make up 22% of the student population, show the lowest percentage of proficient and distinguished scores in comparison to their peers. Asian students, however, have the highest percentage of proficient and distinguished scores in comparison to their peers. Beginning our data discussion, enrollment of students has had an overall consistent increase over the last 3 school years. In the beginning years of implementation of RCD, there was a dip in proficient data. However, as we continue to move forward with implementation, we can see an increase in proficient and distinguished student scores. In genders, we have seen RCD have the most significant growth in males since implementation. Females have a strong performance in ELA but have shown little growth with the RCD implementation. Clark Creek seems to have a large number of students with attendance issues. Our Hispanic students, the second largest population at 22%, has been continually struggling to be successful in comparison to their peers by ethnicity on the ELA Georgia Milestones Assessment. Thinking in terms of the future, here are some discussion questions and things to consider for our next steps. How can we enrich female students to make growth at a steady pace with RCD implemented? What action can we take to improve our attendance rates? What steps can we take to improve RCD and it reflect on the Georgia Milestones Assessment? How can we take this data and put research-based strategies into play to increase our ELA scores? How can we reach our Hispanic students over their time at Clark Creek to see more consistent and steady growth in ELA? I believe RCD is showing promise through the data presented, and we should continue to move forward and enrich our subgroups, specifically our Hispanic population, as the data suggests. Another thing we can consider is finding ways to implement more STEM into RCD, as we are a STEM academy. Another next step is to create an action plan to adequately address the school improvement plan that revolves around ELA with little initiative and focus on how to improve our scores, and come up with strong plans to address our weaknesses in ELA. What action should we take immediately? What about over time? And how will it be determined if it is successful or not? Thank you for your time and attention as we continue to build the future one student at a time.